Hey, stick around today while we go through 7 items that most people say are optional, that in my book, they're mandatory when I go on the trail. All right, my first item right out the gate is a real legitimate compass. I know many of us use technology while we're on the trail, and that's perfectly fine. But having said that, I do not want to bet my life on just that cell phone battery, having reception, knowing that I'm going to be able to push a button and call out. It's wonderful when it works. There are plenty of additional benefits to having a compass like this if you pick one up. You've got little extra tools on here for magnifying glass, for picking splinters, because if you're like me, you'd probably need readers more often than not. Mirror in here helps me get stuff out of my eyes if I have stuff going on. More importantly, though, this is a great way to go through and signal if you're lost and needing a little extra hand. So it's just it's kind of a multifunctional, multi-purpose tool. Doesn't require any batteries. It does require a little bit of knowledge, though, so if you're going to carry one, you need to know how to use it. So we're all accustomed to taking something like this out in the field with us. Little electrolyte replenishment mixes. There's a host of different ones out there. I'm constantly trying different ones, but I've always got some with me, which those are absolutely 100% essential. Where my optional gear comes in, I really like some sort of caffeine. Now, these are all coffee pouches that belong to my wife. That I'm not the coffee drinker in our house. However, I am a tea drinker. So I found these guys, and they've got several different flavors and stuff. It's just an individual steepable tea bag that just goes right into the cold water. This is the actual boxes they come in. I have to order these off of Amazon. By the way, all this gear, I'm going to throw links in the description below, but it's just little individual tea bags. Pop into there. I actually drink these all around the house pretty much constantly. They come in a variety of different flavors, like a blackberry that's over here. There's a half and half. They have unsweet. They have there's a watermelon that's really good. Then I like their they have a raspberry tea too that's pretty on point. But probably my favorites are this one and the watermelon tea. They're both like right up there. We always debate how much knife is too much knife while you're out and about on the trail. You don't want something super heavy. I'm not going to carry some big massive Rambo knife while I'm out there, but I'm also not going to carry just something that's literally just a little fold out blade. I'm not that ultralight in my head, so I do want something that's got a few options at least. So it's usually either something like this, a little small Swiss Army knife, or a little small folding Leatherman, not the big, huge, massive, I don't need pliers and all that stuff, but just some little small multi-tool that's out there. Definitely lately been liking this one. I like the little sharp tweezers on here, a little toothpick on the side. I'm not ever forging and opening a wine bottle while I'm out there with this, but I do like the awl back here for gear repair. A couple little blades inside here, can opener, bottle opener, but just some kind of knife, but one that's actually going to give you plenty options while you're out and about. So don't get sucked so far down the ultralight rabbit hole that you're afraid to take something that's going to give you enough tools to do the job. Now, if you've watched very many of my videos, you've probably quite possibly seen this because I've talked about it before. I have a handful of these things, and I do not consider these to be optional anymore on the trail. This is the little backwoods bidet. It screws into a water bottle. Recommend not using the water bottle you drink from. It's going to significantly reduce the amount of TP that you go through on the trail, thus making your footprint that you're leaving out there significantly smaller unless you're packing all of your stuff out, which is always a good idea. But I know there's still plenty of folks that just try to bury it all. This is going to really reduce that footprint that you're leaving out there and leave you feeling a lot cleaner. These are little small silicone. They come in a 3-pack. I think I paid like $12 for 3 of these things. It just screws right into the water bottle and gets the job done. They're also really good if you are trying to irrigate a wound. So you've got a big cut on your arm or a scratch or something, and you're just trying to clean things out before you put a Band-Aid on and bandage yourself up. These things get a good little bit of water pressure in there, because I know we're probably not all running around out in the woods with irrigation flushes and all of that fun stuff. Yes, you can do the exact same thing with a water bottle with a hole in the lid, but you can do it with this too. This is actually made for it, and I find that a little bit easier to get the job done with an angled neck for its intended purpose than just the irrigation. So nice little cheap item that's definitely convenient to have on the trail. I know plenty of people who think a chair on the trail is 100% essential mandatory gear, and I am not that person. However, for me, this is 100% essential mandatory gear. This is just that closed cell foam, just really, it's really just a pad that's big enough to cover just your butt. Gives me, this is my seat when I'm on the ground. A lot of times in and out of my tent, this is my little floor mat to sit down and get my feet clean before I drag all that stuff inside of my shelter. It is also, stand it up, this is my windscreen when I'm cooking. It's just a nice little multi-functional piece of gear. It stays on the outside of my bag. It's one of the few things that does stay on the outside, because anytime I stop for a break and need just a dry, soft spot to sit down where I'm not gonna have to worry about getting mud or gunk on the, on my pants and then walking around with it the rest of the day, this is a nice little, I can pop it out, throw it down on the ground, got a dry, soft spot to sit down, and don't have to worry about everything else. Then it just folds right back up into my bag. Maybe it's simply the fact that I'm born and raised in the South. I don't go anywhere without duct tape. I always have at least several feet of it, and they're usually spooled onto all of my trekking poles. So both my left and right pole that I carry will have a spool on it. I use this really obnoxious orange. It's great for trail markers. So if I decide to step off the trail to go set up camp, or I decide to step off to go to the restroom or something like that, I can pull off a little piece of it, stick it on a leaf on the way out, and can follow that back in, back out to the trail, and just pull that tape off as I go. And that way I've just got a little marker out there and then coming back so that I'm not getting lost while I'm stepping off to do the business. And then at the same time, I've used it before to leave markers for people who are on the trail behind me, where if there's a split in the trail, and it's like, hey, I went this way or I went that way. This stuff is easy to see, and then you just pull it off as you go back, work your way back through it. Also multifunctional, because now I've got this and I can do gear repair, or if I need it for first aid purposes, maybe I'm... Okay, last on the list. I know everyone, carry a Bic lighter. That's all you need is a Bic lighter. Or carry some matches, carry some lifeboat matches. Yes, I do absolutely use those as my primary fire starter. But having said that, I always carry a ferrocerium rod, because regardless, my lighter can always run out of fluid. I've definitely pulled those out of my bag before, only to find out that they're empty. Matches can get wet. The lifeboat or storm matches, they are wonderful. It doesn't matter if they get wet, they work great. I use both the lighter and the storm matches religiously while I'm out on the trail. It is always my go-to. Having said that though, I do very consistently carry a Ferro Rod out with me on the trail. I like having the extra comfort level of knowing that regardless if I run out of matches or if I run out of lighter fluid, I've got something that I can still sit and have thousands of shots at a fire. Do I carry something this big and bulky? Absolutely not. More often than not, I'm carrying one of those light my fire smaller ferrocerium rods. It works perfectly fine for what I'm going on out there. This just happened to be the one I had handy with me right here at the house. I like the comfort feel and the security of having that redundancy around fire. All right, hopefully you guys enjoyed that and maybe picked up a nugget or two that you can use next time you're on the trail. If you're on the trail while you're watching this right now, just remember, as always, left foot, right foot. Repeat, and we'll see you out there soon.